Hello, boys and girls. Let's talk about absolute value equations, how to solve them. First, let's do one of them like this. Not an equation, but just let's kind of get refamiliarized with the absolute value. So that's these things. Kind of looks like some parentheses that need to relax a little bit. They're like that. And what absolute values do is they make everything positive. Okay, it's just saying how far away is that from zero. That's the whole thing the absolute values do. So sometimes they don't do anything. Like this absolute value of 6, that's just 6. Okay? But then like this, the absolute value of -2 is 2. Now there still is a negative on the outside of the absolute value. That's not affected by it. So it just comes on down. But the absolute value of -2 is 2. Okay? Now over here, if a number is outside of an absolute value, that means it's going to multiply by whatever's inside. And if things are inside the parentheses, it kind of acts like a parentheses. If it's inside the absolute value, it acts like a parentheses in that you're going to do this part first. So -3 plus 1 is -2. And then we're going to multiply. So now we'll write down 6 minus 2 plus 2 times the absolute value of -2. So the absolute value of -2 is 2. So that's 2 times 2. And then we'll multiply that. It's 4. Now we work this out. 6 minus 2 is 2. Plus 4 is 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. Plus 4 is 8. There we go. Much better. Trying to write and talk at the same time. Moving on, example 2. Let's get to some solving. Now, let's think about what number this could be. What would make this true? Well, I know if x equaled 3, the absolute value of 3 is 3, so that works. But also, do you know what else would make it work? That's right, -3, because the absolute value of -3 is also 3, and look what you just did. You just solved an equation where there were 2 answers. Can you believe that? 2 answers for the same x value. You always thought x could only be one thing. It's the only thing that could make the equation true. Well, welcome to the fine world of 2 answers both being true. Crazy, right? Crazy. Example 3. Ooh, getting a little trickier. So on this, in the same way that this number's on the outside of the absolute value, remember that means 2 times all this. And I remember there was a problem last week, a warm-up problem, where you guys said, hey, couldn't you just divide by that? I think it was a 180 on the outside. Well, in this case, it's a 2 on the outside. Since it's 2 times this whole thing, I'm going to divide by 2. And so when I do that, I'm left with this x plus 4 equals 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now you'll notice on this one, you're like, Mr. Nimmons, the other one had 2 answers. Why don't you go to 2 different things here? Well, I need to get the absolute value by itself first before I start thinking about my 2 separate answers. Once I've got this, because it's 2 times whatever that absolute value is 8, that means whatever this absolute value is, it's going to be 4. So I know that whatever this is in here, this x plus 4, that could equal 4, but what else could that x plus 4 equal? It could also equal -4, because if x plus 4 equaled -4, I would take the absolute value of it and get 4. So I end up with 2 both equally true answers. So I've got to solve 2 equations. Whew. Life gets hard in 8th grade, doesn't it? X equals 0, and then I come over here and I solve this one, and I say x equals -8. So I get 2 separate answers, 0 and -8. And if you want to, you could even plug back in just to see if it's true. So 0 plus 4 is 4. Absolute value of 4 is 4 times 2 is 8. And then -8 plus 4, that'd be -4. -4, the absolute value of that is 4 times 2 is 8. So it works. Let's go to example 4. Okay, so again, I've got the absolute value, but then I've got this other thing. Let's get rid of that other thing, and then we will divide up our absolute value and make two equations. 5 minus 2 is 3. Now, I know that x minus 3 could equal 3, or x minus 3 could equal negative 3. Here we go. Let's solve them both. Add 3, add 3. X equals 6. These are a little bit funny. Like the solving part, when you get down to these, they're going to be pretty simple equations. At least, you've done much more difficult. We'll say it that way. But it's just that you have to know, there we go, you have to know to divide them up, to split it up into two separate equations. So that's the tricky part about these. And you have to know, I got to get rid of the other thing first. Okay? Example 5. What? 2 absolute values. How are we going to do this one? Okay. Think about it this way. If I said the absolute value of two things, we got the absolute value of something is equal to the absolute value of something else, and they were both, they were both 3. Once I did the absolute value, I got 3 on both of them. There's two possibilities. Either they were both 3 already, or they were both equal, right? They were both exactly the same, or they were opposites. That's the two possibilities. They were the same or they were opposites. So really, you feel like there should be 4 different possibilities, because when you do one absolute value, you have to break it up into 2. So you feel like if I had to break each one up into 2 separate things, and then the positive, 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 negative, negative, positive, negative, negative, you don't have to do all that. It's just they are either the same or they are opposites. Okay? That makes it much better, doesn't it? Same or opposite. So really, you don't do these very different than any of the other ones. 2x plus 4 equals 4x plus minus 6, because really that takes care of, if they're both positive or they're both negative. This one takes care of them being opposites, so positive, negative, or negative, positive. But be careful of this. On this one, I have to do the opposite of one of these. So I could do the opposite of the 2x plus 4 or the opposite of the 4x minus 6. I generally do the opposite of the second one, but either way. I have to put a negative out front and put parentheses around it, because if I want the opposite of a binomial, I need to do the opposite of both. So it's going to be a negative 4x and a positive 6. Okay? If I wanted the I keep stumbling over those words. If I want the opposite of an absolute value, I need to distribute my negative. So here's my first situation. They are the same, so we're going to get our variables on the right and our numbers on the left. Let's do that now. Minus 2x minus 2x. Boom. 4 equals 2x minus 6. So left side looks good. Right side, let's get those numbers out of there. Plus 6 plus 6. 10 equals 2x. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. 5. 5 equals x. Let's do the other one now. 2x plus 4 equals negative 4x plus 6. There we go. And now I'm going to say x is on the left, numbers on the right, because I've got more x's over here. So I want to get rid of my numbers. Minus 4, 2x equals negative 4x plus 2. And I'm good on the left side. Let's look at the right side. Need to get rid of these x's. Plus 4x plus 4x. 6x equals 2. And divide by 6. Divide by 6. Is the answer 3? Don't say 3. Don't do it. It's 1/3. 1/3. Don't flip those over. If it's 2 over 6, make sure it's 2 over 6 and it's a fraction. Okay? Last one. I'm back and fully on this one. Okay, what are we going to do here? X minus 3 equals negative 7. X minus 3 equals 7, right? We're going to do that? No, this is a tricky one. Do you know what it is? I'll pause it right here and see if you know what to do. I'll give you a hint that it's different. It's different and it's tricky. I'll pause it and I'll see if anyone can tell me. All right. Hopefully someone is victorious and knew what to do. I'm going to say that this is impossible because an absolute value must be positive. That's what all absolute values are. And so it can't equal negative 7. And so I'm just going to say right there, no solution. Okay? No solution at all. It can't be true. Okay? Speaking of, I don't know, because never mind. I was going to do some shading, but we've got inequalities to do that with, so this is good. All right, that's all I got. Have a good one. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.